Sleep involves a change in essentially every brain neurotransmitter from the wake to the sleep states. It's a huge switch. And it involves multiple neurotransmitters and multiple brain structures, and it's complicated. You'll be familiar with the non-REM, non-rapid eye movement, and rapid eye movement sleep. These different stages of sleep, which can take cycles of, depending on who you are, 70 minutes to 90 minutes. So there's complexity there, um, and so what determines the timing of going from these different states, REM versus non-REM, and also going from the wake state to the sleep state. And of course, the circadian system is critical. It timestamps everything. So now is the appropriate time to be awake. Now is the appropriate time to be asleep. But there's a second timer, which is perhaps the most intuitive, which is the longer you've been awake, the greater your need for sleep, the greater the sleep pressure. So what we see over the day is that from first thing in the morning, the sleep pressure is low and it builds and increases throughout the day. So in the late afternoon, sleep pressure is really high. We don't fall asleep because the circadian system is interacting with that sleep pressure, saying, no, no, this is daytime, you need to be awake. So the wakefulness drive from the clock increases and overrides that buildup of sleep pressure within the brain. Ironically, the circadian drive for wakefulness is at its highest just before we fall asleep. The clock then says, okay, now's a good time to go to sleep, and the sleep pressure kicks in and we go to sleep. Then, whilst we're asleep, the wakefulness drive from the clock is very, very low. And while we're asleep, that sleep pressure dissipates. So it declines the longer we've been asleep. So, under normal circumstances, morning comes around, the sleep pressure has completely dissipated. The clock is saying, okay, now it's time to wake up. So, the wakefulness drive kicks in, very, very low sleep pressure, and then we wake up. So you've got those two incredible timers causing the flip from wakefulness and sleep. What do we know about that sleep pressure? Well, very interestingly, one key element seems to be the buildup of adenosine within the brain. Now, ATP is the energy currency of all cells. And once it's been used up to release energy, one of the breakdown products is adenosine. And so adenosine is a very valuable marker of metabolism, as it were, being active. And so that seems to be an important marker, and there are adenosine receptors within the brain indicating how tired you are, which leads us to caffeine and coffee. The reason we feel more awake after a cup of coffee is because there's caffeine in the coffee. It blocks the adenosine receptors within the brain, which generally means that we can't detect how tired we are. That's why coffee makes us more alert. So you've got this incredible, beautiful alignment of biology to generate the sleep wake cycle. But you also asked about whether the sleep systems can interact with the circadian systems. And that's an area that myself and colleagues have been working on. And so one thing that we've found is that the longer you're awake, the higher the levels of adenosine build up within the brain. And that feeds back and makes the circadian clock less sensitive to light. So there's a very interesting pathway there, which we're just beginning to explore. But yeah, the two systems do talk to each other. They were originally conceived as, yep, this is the circadian drive, this is the homeostatic drive or the sleep pressure drive, and that's it. But they definitely talk to each other.